With mere days until Hogwarts Legacy is upon us, I can't help but find myself watching more and more content about the game, with excitement only growing as release gets closer and closer every day. But with all these videos and gameplay I've been watching in the past few weeks, I can't help but notice one thing that could potentially dull down combat specifically a lot more than I would have hoped. Now, I don't think I'm the first person to notice or even comment on it, but the thing I'm referring to is the AI, specifically in combat. From all the gameplay we've seen so far, that being from the trailers and the 2 gameplay showcases, it gives us a glimpse into how enemies function in the game. There are a few things that make me skeptical about the combat ceiling the game provides the player will be satisfying enough when going against enemies in the game. Now, the main type of AI I wanted to talk about were the human witches and wizards that we'll be fighting throughout the course of our story. We haven't seen much actual gameplay of the player character fighting dragons, grapphorns, or many of the other magical creatures confirmed to already be in the game. Now, that could be a good or bad thing. Good in the sense that it leaves a lot more to be discovered when playing the game for yourself. Bad in the sense that it may not be as challenging as a lot of people would have expected it to be. Nevertheless, we'll have to wait for when the game releases to see how they fare against us. The PlayStation State of Play for Hogwarts Legacy, as well as the 2 gameplay showcases, give us plenty of opportunity to see exactly how the human enemies of the game fight and react to the player. With all the tools at our disposal, with 20 plus spells, a list of potions, and a menagerie of magical plants to use during combat, it makes me wonder if all these things are exclusive to us, the player, or will the dark wizards we face also have the same tools at their disposal, or will they only have access to a small list of spells? Can they use all the spells that we end up acquiring throughout the game? Maybe the higher difficulties will give them access to spells they wouldn't have on lower difficulties. We even have the innate ability to tell whether we're about to be attacked. This takes form in a halo that sits above the player's head, indicating to them to react accordingly. Think of the Batman Arkham games, with Batman's ability being virtually the same function. With this ability, we could dodge out of the way right before the spell hits us, deflect it straight up towards the ceiling even, or just straight up counterattack by holding down the block button. With the access we have to potions of all kinds, for example, the Wiggenweld potion, which can heal you whenever you need it. From the gameplay, it seems we'll have access to the Wiggenweld potion through, I would assume, a dedicated button. There's the Rockskin potion, which, as you can probably assume, reduces damage for a set amount of time. And last of the potions we know about at this time is the Focus potion, which we can see requires 1 lacewing fly, 1 fluxweed stem, and 1 dugbog tongue to craft it. It will take 1 minute to brew, and it yields 1 bottle. Once it has been brewed, you can drink it to decrease the cooldowns of our spells, which all have various cooldown timers respective to how powerful they are. And if we look at the screen here in the gameplay showcase, we can see a lot of things here, including our mounts over to the right. You can see that there's a grapphorn, there's the Thestral, and there's also the broomstick over there. We can also see that there are still 3 potions that we know nothing of yet. All of the plants available to us seem to all be within the wheel we see here. With all these tools to help aid us in combat, it makes the AI seem severely outclassed, unless they can also use potions and plants as well. Think of how much more challenging combat could get if the enemy AI wasn't limited to just spellcasting. They could pop potions and have skin made of rock, reducing how much damage they take from you, potentially even make it so you have to use certain types of spells to break through their potions. One wave-based arena we did get to see gameplay in didn't have much in the ways of cover for the AI to hide behind or utilize. Some balconies for enemy goblins to sit on, but with the way you can pull enemies from yards away straight to your location and then proceed to juggle them with dozens of different spells, it just doesn't seem fair, you know? It seems to be that way for some other areas that we have seen. It worries me that the AI is going to be walking around majority of the time while the player character is casting cool, intricate spells, while the enemy AI is just waiting to be dunked on. I really hope that Avalanche has curated the areas that you fight in to help the AI in fighting the player more vertically, maybe, making certain spells like the Unforgivable Curses unblockable. I don't know if that's taking it too far, but I think it would make it a bit more challenging when encountering different enemy types like dark wizards. Now, going off on a bit of a tangent, with the trophy list being leaked not too long ago, there's one trophy in particular that piques my interest. It reads, "The Hallowed Hero, wield a Deathly Hallow." Now, if you don't know what a Deathly Hallow is specifically, the 3 Deathly Hallows are objects of great power that were bestowed upon 3 brothers by Death himself. Pretending to congratulate the 3 brothers for their ability to avoid death, he makes the most powerful wand that has and ever will exist, and gives it to the oldest of the 3 brothers. Wanting to be able to resurrect the dead, Death gave the second brother a stone that gave him the ability to recall loved ones from the grave. Death then turned to the 3rd and final brother. He asked for something that would allow him to leave without death following him, so Death reluctantly sheds some of his own invisibility cloak and hands it to the final brother. Now that everyone watching knows exactly what a Deathly Hallow is, which of the three will we be able to acquire in-game? I know what the first thought for a lot of you will be, and it might not be far off, but we may have actually been hinted to which Deathly Hallow it might be as far back as March 18th, 2022. We can see here that the player is sneaking around and they are invisible. Now, I don't know if there are charms students could learn at that time that would turn them invisible, but as far as I'm aware, the only thing that can do that is the Cloak of Invisibility that Harry gets in the first movie. Now, if that's the case, and the cloak is the only Deathly Hallow we acquire, that wouldn't be too bad. But what if we had access to all three by the end of the game? Now, I don't think it's too far-fetched to think that somehow we could end up being given or acquiring the Resurrection Stone. It could work in-game with being hit by the Killing Curse in some way. If we were to take it a step further and say we can acquire the Elder Wand, the one that will always win in a duel, the one that only answers to its true master, wouldn't that make combat all the more easier? If we can somehow become the literal embodiment of death, then no dark wizard, strong student, magical creature, dragon, Graphorn, Thestral, Dugbog, Kneasel could stand in our way. Poor Kneasels. Now, I know that the human AI is just one facet of the enemies we'll end up facing in Hogwarts Legacy. We'll probably end up having dozens of magical creatures as well, that I can only imagine play differently to each other. But I do believe they'll make up the majority of combat, humans that is. And with that in mind, the overall intelligence of the AI is the thing that worries me the most about Hogwarts Legacy. With that said, I'm still super excited for this game to release. It's definitely a dream come true for me, and I don't think I'm alone in that group. I'd like to leave this open for a discussion. How do you feel about the AI from what we've seen so far? Is there anything that you're skeptical about? Let me know. Leave a comment on your thoughts. I appreciate anyone that has sat here long enough to listen to my thoughts. A like on the video would help a lot. It would also let me know if you like this style of video from me. That means I could do more of that going forward. I'll be streaming Hogwarts Legacy on YouTube day of release, so if you want to come along and join me in my journey, subscribe and turn the notifications on so you can know when I go live. With all that said and out of the way, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.